Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of Striving for It All. This is the program to get you caught up on anything and everything happening around the WNBA. Coming up on this edition of the program, we'll give you the latest on the injuries to CameronBrink and RhyneHoward, and so much more. And, of course, we have your current league leaders and standings in the W. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. As always, I want to start off with my top three storylines. I want to start off talking about CaitlinClark's continued impact in the WNBA. Listen, we already knew about her impact in women's basketball, women's college basketball at the University of Iowa, right? Setting ratings records, attendance records. Well, that transition over to the WNBA has just been phenomenal. The 2024 WNBA draft. Of course, the IndianaFever selected Clark as the #1 overall pick. The 2024 WNBA draft averaged 2.45 million viewers, the most in WNBA draft history. And it was also the most watched WNBA telecast since 2000. Let's fast forward to May 14th, Clark's regular season debut against the Connecticut Sun, the most watched WNBA game since 2002, and the most watched ever on ESPN2 or any cable network. Let's fast forward, May 18th, her game against the New York Liberty set the league's ABC viewership record with 1.71 million viewers. And then in the following week, Clark's game set WNBA viewership marks on networks such as ESPN, ION, and NBA TV. So not just with viewership records in terms of television, but also, too, with game attendance as well. During her first month in the WNBA, the games against the Los Angeles Sparks, the New York Liberty, the Seattle Storm all set attendance records while hosting her IndianaFever team. It was so massive that the Sparks, the Las Vegas Aces, the Washington Mystics, and the Atlanta Dream, they moved their home games against the IndianaFever to accommodate larger arenas. Her game against the Washington Mystics on June the 7th was moved to the Capital One Arena, where it had an attendance of over 20,000, the most for a WNBA game since the 2007 WNBA Finals, and the fifth most for a regular season game. I got to tell you one thing. CaitlinClark, win or lose, no matter where her team plays the IndianaFever, it has had a profound impact and has had a continued impact not just on her but the whole WNBA as a whole. If you know about a cable network like NBA TV, it's primarily only available on mid-tier and high-tier cable and satellite packages. Well, guess what? When CaitlinClark and the IndianaFever play, those ratings go up. They've had more people watching a WNBA game on NBA TV than NBA games on that network. And that says a lot, not just about CaitlinClark, but the whole CaitlinClark effect. And, man, just this past week, the ChicagoSky IndianaFever game that was played in Chicago during this past weekend, the tickets were almost $360 just for a single game ticket. That's never been done before in league history, and her effect is continuing to be enormous in the WNBA. And that segues over to my next storyline, CaitlinClark and Angel Reese. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If everything plays out well, for the most part, the 2024 WNBA rookie class could have the potential of being just as impactful as previous NBA draft classes. The most recent, you could say 2003 with LeBron James, Chris Bosh, also Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, just to name a few. CameronBrink, talented. Alyssa Peely, talented. Kate Martin, Cardoso, talented. Rakia Jackson, talented. But the headliners of this draft class is CaitlinClark and Angel Reese. These two, the last 2 years, they set women's college basketball on fire. The 2003 Women's National Championship game, Angel and her LSU Tigers beat Caitlin's Iowa Hawkeyes. This past April of 2024, Angel and her LSU Tigers fell short to Caitlin's Iowa Hawkeyes in the Elite Eight game. And 2 years in a row, the Iowa Hawkeyes failed to win a national championship. But it was clearly that CaitlinClark and Angel Reese and the other ones behind them really set women's college basketball in a blaze the last couple of years. And Caitlin and Angel have been the two stars that have really moved the WNBA in ways that it's never been moved in the 27 years of the organization, or in the 27 years that the league has been in operation. The league has never made a profit. The league has struggled in ratings and attention. But CaitlinClark and Angel Reese, when these two young ladies and their respective teams have played each other 3 times so far this year, whenever it's the IndianaFever and the ChicagoSky, people are glued to the television. People's eyes are glued to the televisions, and I only watch the IndianaFever and the ChicagoSky, but most importantly to watch CaitlinClark and Angel Reese. They say it's not a rivalry, but we could have something in the making. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA from a time when the games in the NBA were shown on tape delay. There were a lot of athletes that were getting in trouble, and just the league was in a bad place. But enter the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson rivalry. It saved the NBA. And then going into the next decade, Michael Jordan globalized the game. Angel Reese and CaitlinClark have the opportunity to be the WNBA's version of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. The storylines are there. Everything is ripe for the taking. And certainly what these two young ladies have done so far in the first half of this WNBA season with their respective teams playing one another, some exciting games, some controversial games, some games with some interesting storylines, but man, the best gets better. That first game was exciting. Now, normally they say the sequel is not as good as the first one, but guess what? The sequel was just as good as the first one. And they also say the third and the fourth and the other movies in the franchise are not as good as the first two, but guess what? This third game that we had this past week was outstanding. A lot of storylines. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but man, CaitlinClark and Angel Reese, man, this is again, if everything plays out well and everything is supposed to be done from a business and a marketing and a public relations standpoint, this could catapult the WNBA to epic proportion and finally get them out of the red and get them to be a self-sufficient league that it's always asked for decades. But Caitlin and Angel, this is great, not just great for the WNBA, but this is great not just for women's basketball, but just great for basketball and sports as a whole. And for my last storyline is going to be the IndianaFever and the ChicagoSky. So I mentioned earlier about Caitlin and Angel and their respective teams. Well, the IndianaFever and the ChicagoSky, currently as this show is airing, both teams are under 500. However, both teams have a chance right now to at least get that last playoff spot, as this show Chicago currently holds the 8th and final playoff spot. If the regular season ended today, Indiana would be eliminated and Chicago would get the last playoff spot. But we have been treated to some exciting games so far in this first half of the year with the IndianaFever and the ChicagoSky. The first game that they had was exciting, but the last 2 games that we had during the week, I mean, it lived up to the hype. As I stated earlier, the first game was good, and it's hard when the sequel lives up to the first movie. But in this situation, the second game lived up to the first game, and the third game as well, which we'll get into a little bit later on with our recap. But the IndianaFever and ChicagoSky, we have a rivalry. We could have a budding rivalry. Knock on wood, depending on what happens. God forbid Caitlin has a situation, whether injuries or something goes wrong with her team with the Fever, or same thing with Angel Reese. If Angel has a situation with Chicago and she's not happy with her situation, we shall see. But right now, we have been in for a treat. And it's interesting because these two teams, as I stated earlier, are below 500. But again, when you have currently two of the marketable stars, not just in this year's rookie class, but really in all of the WNBA, with CaitlinClark and Angel Reese, it's certainly going to turn a lot of heads, and people are going to be glued to the television. And we would definitely treat it to some two exciting games during the week with the Indiana Fever and the ChicagoSky. And yeah, as I stated earlier, their first meeting this year was June 1st in Indianapolis, and the Fever won a close one, 71-70, and then they met again on June the 16th in Indianapolis. Again, a fantastic game, and Indiana would hold on to win 91-83. And then on June the 23rd, the first game in Chicago, it was a tight one, and we're going to get to the recap of that game as well. But the ChicagoSky get their first win of the year against the Fever, 88-87. So, man, we've had some great games so far between these two teams, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg on what's to come going forward. All right, that takes care of my top three storylines. So before we go, I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the program about injuries involving CameronBrink and RhyneHoward. First, CameronBrink, the number 2 overall pick in this year's WNBA draft, and it's so sad. She's going to be out for the remainder of the season with a torn ACL, and this is tough. Brink suffered the injury during the week against the Connecticut Sun in the first quarter, attempting to get a loose ball, and if you watch the replay, I mean, her knee buckled, and people pretty much got the idea of what happened right there, and certainly that's a tough break, considering Cameron, again, one of the rising stars, one of the big stars in that rookie class of this 2024 WNBA rookie class, and then Cameron was selected to this year's women's basketball team, and now they're going to have to fill a spot, because now Cameron won't be able to play because she's done for the year due to a torn ACL. But I mean, Cameron is a fighter. Cameron is somebody that's a fighter. She's somebody, she's kind of been through this whole song and dance before, and I'm pretty sure she's going to bounce back strong. It's going to be tough, all things considered, and her not being on that Olympic team, the 3-on-3, the 3x3 women's team, but Cameron should be a full go, and she should be ready for the 2025 WNBA season. And speaking of her Olympic teammate, RhyneHoward. So RhyneHoward 2 years ago was the WNBA Rookie of the Year, and certainly somebody that's one of the rising stars in the league. She suffered a left ankle injury Wednesday in the game against the Minnesota Lynx. And RhyneHoward, listen, Ryan, along with stars like an Alicia Gray, along with Alicia Gray, RhyneHoward, one of the top stars in the league, and that's tough because we talked about CameronBrink won't be available for the Olympics this year. She's a member of the 3x3 team, where RhyneHoward is also a member of this year's Olympic 3x3 team. Now, her injury is not season-ending, but it's going to be tough. Will Ryan be ready for the Olympics? Because if that's the case, if she's not going to be ready, then there's going to be 2 spots that they're going to have to fill on that 3-on-3, or should I say the 3x3 women's Olympic team, with CameronBrink with the torn ACL, and then RhyneHoward has an ankle injury. Her team, the Atlanta Dream, have set a timeline for Howard's return to play, which should be coming in the next several weeks. So as this show is airing, we're currently in late June, so it looks as though maybe before the All-Star break we'll get a better understanding on when Ryan will be able to return to action for the Atlanta Dream. But again, this is cutting it close, because right after the All-Star break, right after the All-Star game, the Olympics are right there, basically like a few days after the All-Star game. So that's going to be tough if Ryan's going to be able to play. And that it's tough. And again, RhyneHoward is one of the rising stars, not just in the WNBA, but what she brings to the Atlanta Dream is just unbelievable. But again, she suffered an ankle injury on Wednesday against the Minnesota Lynx, and she's going to be out for an extended period of time. So CameronBrink, won't be on the Olympic team, will miss the Olympics. RhyneHoward is hurt. She's going to miss some time. We don't know what her status is going to be for the Olympics, but anyway, we shall see what happens because, I mean, these are two talented players. Cameron is a part of that rookie class. Ryan, she's won the Rookie of the Year. She won the Rookie of the Year 2 years in a row and is an all-star, so it's always tough when you've got somebody like as talented as her and, you know, come down with an injury like that. That's tough. You never want to see anything like that. All right, so that takes care of the news involving the injuries to CameronBrink and RhyneHoward. All right, now it's time to recap the week that was in the W. So let's start with action that we had on Friday, June the 14th. We had the Chicago Sky going up against the Washington Mystics. The Mystics would go on to beat the Sky. Final score, 83-81. And then we had the Los Angeles Sparks take on the Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota would win 81-76. And then we had action on Saturday, June the 15th. We had the Connecticut Sun go up against the Dallas Wings. Connecticut would beat Dallas 85-67. And then we had the New York Liberty going up against the Las Vegas Aces. New York would win. Final score, 90-82. And then we had action from Sunday, June the 16th. We had the Los Angeles Sparks going up against the Atlanta Dream. Atlanta would win 87-74. Then we had the Seattle Storm going up against the Phoenix Mercury. Phoenix would go on to beat Seattle 87-78. And then we had the second meeting of the year between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. Indiana would win 91-83. CaitlinClark, hey, what can you say about her, right? Caitlin was doing Caitlin things in this game, and she took over big time in this victory over the Chicago Sky. Here's Caitlin in action.
Her shot, she drives, penetrates. Clark gets freed up. From up top. And Clark penetrating. Opens up 3 for 3 with a quick 7 points. Trying to find some space. Goes with the inside. Clark with the basketball. 9 total points in the game. Steps it back to 3. Knocks it down. Clark penetrating. Clark pulls. Fires.
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA and CBS. So CaitlinClark was the leading scorer for the Indiana Fever in this game. She finished with 23 points. Also contributing in the victory, Aaliyah Boston. She had a double-double, 19 points, 14 rebounds. Melissa Smith finished with 15 points. Chelsea Mitchell finished with 17 points. On the losing end for the Sky, Marina Mabry finished with 22 points. Kennedy Carter finished with 18 points. Camila Cardoso had a double-double with 10 points and 10 rebounds. And Angel Reese finished with a double-double with 11 points and 13 rebounds. So before we, again, give you the score and things of that nature, what was so significant about that game from June the 16th was Angel Reese. Angel, listen, some people that's been a talk for really much of the week and a half. Did she go for the block, or did she try to go for Angel's head? Angel committed a flagrant foul on Caitlin, and here's how it happened.
Third in the voting last season. Three Sky players coming over.
Now the official is pointing to his head here, and I think they're going to look at this. To review it.
The foul, I believe, to Angel Reese. Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor to review this one.
Yeah, that's
right. Being reviewed, or possible upgrade to later.
I think it'll be upgraded here. The sole purpose of it hitting her head, although she was looking for the ball, I believe.
Any contact above the shoulders is an automatic review for these officials. A common foul as of now for Angel Reese. The F2 definition would be unnecessary and excessive. And Eric Bruton's decision.
As a review, the call has been upgraded to a flagrant 1. We have follow-through, impact, unnecessary contact to the head. 2 shots for Clark, died out.
And so again, the definition, as we were talking about, just to define F1 and F2, unnecessary, you heard Eric Bruton define that. Unnecessary contact here for Angel Reese, not excessive.
And the wind-up and, the motion, they had to call that.
I agree, I think that's the right call.
All right, that audio again, courtesy of the WNBA and CBS. So basically, if you didn't see the game or didn't see that play on television or social media or whatever the case may be, basically Caitlin was attempting a layup. She was driving to the basket. There were 2 Sky defenders in the paint. One of the defenders was Izzy Harrison or Isabel Harrison, a.k.a. Izzy. Izzy Harrison was attempting to make a block. She was going for the ball, but then Angel Reese was right behind Caitlin, and she took her right hand, and it appeared, if you watched the replay, she went for Angel's head. And at first, it was, as you heard the audio, it was a common foul, but then it was later changed to being a flagrant 1. So Caitlin, there were no ejections in that contest. Caitlin finished the game, and the Indiana Fever was going to beat the Chicago Sky again in that game. That was from Sunday, June the 16th. Final score was 91-83. And then we move along now to action from Monday, June the 17th. We had the Minnesota Lynx beat the Dallas Wings 90-78. Action from Tuesday, June the 18th. We had the Connecticut Sun beat the Los Angeles Sparks 79-70. The Phoenix Mercury beat the New York Liberty 99-93. Then we had action from Wednesday, June the 19th. We had the Indiana Fever beat the Washington Mystics 88-81. The Minnesota Lynx beat the Atlanta Dream 68-65. And then we had the Las Vegas Aces beat the Seattle Storm 94-83. And then we moved to action from Thursday, June 20th. We had the New York Liberty going up against the Los Angeles Sparks, 93-80. And then we had the Dallas Wings go up against the Chicago Sky. Chicago would win 83-72. In this game, Angel Reese, hey, listen, CaitlinClark is great in her own right. Angel Reese is great in her own right as well. The players are completely different. One player is built for one player, their talent is based on skill. Angel is built for power and strength and just playing with a determination of having a dog, just having that dog mentality, playing in the paint, playing the forward position, and certainly Angel made her presence felt against the Dallas Wings. Here's Angel in action.
And Reese trying to make herself available, dives on the post. Just a refusal to go. Dana Evans to Cardoso, maybe she has shot it and finds Reese instead. Howard gets a block. Reese stays with it, and then Reese has got a little smile there to Howard's way after that bucket fall. Reese with the catch on the post and wiggles her way in for 2. Carter working off the screen, gets turned away but spins right out of it. Angel Reese, another offensive rebound. She's got another double-double to her name. Betsy Uzer over to Zimbawale. Cross-court pass, Angel Reese picks it off. It's her against no one and lays it in against the rest of the league. Howard gets it once. He's going to stay with it. Oh, mean bucketed. Body bucket and one for Angel. Dana finding Cardoso. Reese with the tackle. Boy, what a game she's having.
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA and League Pass. So Angel Reese had her a game against the Dallas Wings. Angel had a double-double with 16 points and 18 rebounds. Marina Mabry and Kennedy Carter both had 19 points. Dana Evans finished with 12 points, and Camila Cardoso only had 9 points, but she had 11 rebounds. On the losing end for the Dallas Wings, Arike Ogunbowale, what can you say about her, right? One of the stars in the W. She finished with 31 points. And Natasha Howard finished with 13 points. Again, the final score, Chicago 83, Dallas 72. And as I mentioned earlier, that the other game from Thursday, June the 20th, was the Los Angeles Sparks going up against the New York Liberty. The Liberty would win, final score 93-80. And we talk about the New York Liberty. They have been balling this year. The first half of the year, we talk about the Connecticut Sun, but you got to talk about the New York Liberty. And the Liberty, they are just so good on all positions, skill levels. Sabrina Ionescu, 31 points in this game. Sabrina handled her business in more ways than one. Here she is in action.
Here's Sabrina Ionescu, getting inside and getting it to fall. Now here's Ionescu, connects from downtown. Called. Nice cut by Ionescu, lays it up and in, and she has a chance for a three-point play. And another one, but that one doesn't bite the dust. That one goes through for Ionescu. And this is a steal by Phoebish, leading the break, peels out behind the back to Ionescu, and she knocks it down. Ionescu, from distance, Sabrina sets his swish. She's got another, and she kisses it up to the sky. There's Ionescu. Does she have another one? She does! I-20, bingo!
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA and Amazon Prime Video. So Sabrina Ionescu was sensational in this game. She finished with 31 points. Also contributing for the Liberty victory, Jonquel Jones finishing with 22 points. Brianna Stewart at 17 points. And Ivana Dokic finished with 12 points. And then on the losing end for the Sparks, De'Erica Hamby only had 9 points, but she had 11 rebounds. Ari McDonald finished with 15 points. Stephanie Talbot had 11 rebounds. Ray Burrell finished with 11 points. And Zaya Cook finished with 13 points. Again, the final score, the New York Liberty 93, the Los Angeles Sparks 80. Let's move along now to action from Friday, June the 21st. We had the Indiana Fever beat the Atlanta Dream 91-79. And we had the Las Vegas Aces beat the Connecticut Sun 85-74. Let's move along now to action from Saturday, June the 22nd. We had the Minnesota Lynx beat the Phoenix Mercury 73-60. We had the Washington Mystics beat the Dallas Wings 97-69. And then we had the New York Liberty going up against the Los Angeles Sparks once again. The Liberty would win 98-88. In this game for the Liberty, it was all about Stewie, Brianna Stewart. I mean, the best just continues to get better, right? Stewie, offense, defense, just a complete player. Here's Stewie in action.
Phoebish, rummaging, throws it out. Stewart will fire away and knock it down from three. Here's Stewart bodying into Burrell. Stewart flips it in. Easy work. Stewart gets the roll plus the foul. Here's Hamby in and out on a three. Up ahead to Ionescu into the corner. Oh, good movement. Stewart. You bet. As Stewart buries another three, deflected by Stewart and taken by Ionescu. Another Stewart deflection.
Both times it has saved the layup.
Oh, what a dish! Sabrina to Stewie for two. Here's Ionescu. Dumps it in. Stewart turns, saves, and hits. Here's Stewart floating it in. 20. Hamby hops in. Can't finish. Ionescu the board. Here comes New York. Oh, what a dive! And Stewart lays it in on the dart from Sabrina.
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA ESPN and League Pass. So Breanna Stewart was sensational in this game, helping the Liberty get the win. She finished with 33 points. Also contributing to the victory, Jonquel Jones had a double-double with 14 points, 13 rebounds. Kayla Thornton finished with 20 points, and Sabrina Ionescu finished with 24 points. On the losing end for the Sparks, De'Erica Hamby finished with 20 points. Kia Nurse finished with 12 points. Stephanie Talbot finished with 11 points. And Zaya Cook finished with 14 points. Once again, the final score, the New York Liberty, 98. The Los Angeles Sparks, 88. And then games from Saturday, June the 23rd. We had the New York Liberty take care of the Atlanta Dream, 96-75. We had the Washington Mystics beat the Dallas Wings, 92-84. We had the Seattle Storm take care of the Connecticut Sun, 72-61. And of course, we had our game of the day, the third matchup of the year between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. What a treat it was just to watch these two teams, not just CaitlinClark and Angel Reese, but the list of players such as Camila Cardoso and Marina Mabry and Kennedy Carter. Also, Kelsey Mitchell, Melissa Smith. Man, if you watch that game, Melissa Smith and Angel Reese were just talking mad stuff to one another throughout the course of this whole game. And certainly, again, as I stated earlier in the program, the sequel or the movies after the sequel normally do not live up to the first one, but the first game was exciting. The second game was just as exciting. This third game was phenomenal, and I know the TV ratings are going to be through the roof whenever the numbers come out for this June 23rd matchup that was on ESPN between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. I bet it's going to set more viewership records and then some. But CaitlinClark, listen, despite the loss, Caitlin was very effective in this game. Here she is in action.
Clark trying to shake free Mabry all over. Here's Clark. Clark separating, taking, and hitting. CaitlinClark with a difficult look from deep. Clark a deep three. You bet. Starts Clark. Connects. Not Clark. A bomb. Is good. A logo three. And then a shrug. Here's Clark. Catch. Fire. And connect.
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA and ESPN. And you heard Ryan Rucco on the call, and one of those three-pointers, yeah, man, that's been one of the trademarks of CaitlinClark since she's been in the W, making three-pointers from the logo and certainly demonstrating her long-range shooting skills. And while Caitlin was demonstrating not only her long-range shooting and her passing, in my opinion, she's underrated as a passer. She got a lot of assists in this game. But Camila Cardoso, listen, if everything plays out well and God forbid nothing happens between her and Angel or a contract situation with the Sky, we got something great happening with Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. But Camila, she held her own in this game. I tell you what, 6'7", man, listen, you can't really stop her, but you can neutralize her. But man, Camila had a great game. Here she is in action.
Cardoso on the offensive glass, keeps it alive and sticks it in. Reese trying to steal inside. Reese the shovel, Cardoso to finish. Here's Mabry, dumping it in. Cardoso the catch and the finish. Here's Cardoso working Boston. Cardoso on the move, lays it in again. Here's Allen. Off to Carter. Carter dumps it down. Cardoso finishes. Lindsay Allen can't finish, but Cardoso can.
All right, again, that audio courtesy of the WNBA and ESPN and Ryan Rucco on the call. And Camila Cardoso, listen, man, she was double-teamed, triple-teamed, but the 6'7" phenom out of Brazil, it just, she held her own in more ways than one. And certainly Camila was definitely not to be denied and a force definitely to be reckoned with. And Camila held her own in this game. And speaking of holding her own, Angel Reese. I mean, Angel Reese continuing to set records in terms of being you could call her probably one of the queens of the double-double. I'm pretty sure Alyssa Thomas is going to have something to say about that. But Angel held her own and was dominant in a great performance. Here she is in action.
Reese the defense and the finish on Smith, and had something to say about it afterwards. Dumps it down, Reese bangs inside, and flips it in. Angel Reese attacking Alyssa Smith again. Mabry out to Cardoso, off to a good start here in the third. Reese working hard on Smith, Angel Reese flips it in. Into the corner, Katie Lou Samuelson off the mark on a three. Harrison the board. Mabry flings it down before Reese. What a catch and finish! Angel Reese. Here's Carter, stumping it down. Reese bangs it in. Squeeze it out to Allen. Allen's mid-range short. Reese another rebound. Reese flips it in. Plus the foul. Allen looking into Reese. Reese back to work on Smith. Reese pops it in. Alyssa Smith has had no answer for Angel Reese.
All right, that audio courtesy again of the WNBA and ESPN, and that was Ryan Rucco on the call. And I mentioned earlier that Angel Reese and Alyssa Smith, man, they were jaw-jacking, and they had words for one another the whole game. And Angel just held it down. She held it down and certainly got points in the paint, did her thing in the rebounding department, getting the second chance points. Just like I mentioned about Camila Cardoso, Camila holding down her position and holding down the fort and making her presence felt. Angel made her presence felt as well, and she definitely was one of the contributors for the Chicago Sky. Now, I'm going to play the last moments of this contest. You talk about drama, you talk about suspense, you talk about a nail biter. So many things happen in the last moments of this contest. Here it is.
Here's Boston directing traffic. Boston stuck on an island will take and hit from three. It's a one-point game. What a shot from Aaliyah Boston. Alyssa Smith and CaitlinClark out, little offense defense. Mabry has it, and Wallace dives to foul her. Marina Mabry is at 78% on the season and 1 of 1 today. Mabry to the line. Chicago 22 of 28, and Mabry misses the first. Now, if you are Indiana, are you using your reset to advance the basketball here, or are you saving it just in case?
Might depend on whether Mabry makes or misses. You can get the board and push. You get the board and push.
Mabry missed them both badly. Loose ball. Who's going to grab it? It is Clark who has it for Indiana. Down one. Clark ahead. Wallace into the lane. Can't scoop it in. Loose ball out of bounds, and it stays with Indiana with 7 seconds remaining. Indiana ball now, 7 seconds to go, down one, out of timeout. Here's Clark on the catch, off to Boston, back to Clark. Boston, the jumper, off the mark, loose ball, Chicago wins! 88-87 the final! Seeing if Wallace's foul happened before time expired. Why is this significant? Well, because it's a new reset timeout, Indiana has not yet used. Chicago, even if they make both free throws, Indiana will be able to advance the basketball. Let's see, Rebecca.
The right decision.
0.5 will be put back on the clock. We'll resume play with free throws from the foul by Indiana.
Cardoso to the line is 2 of 3 today. Misses the first. Now, will she miss this intentionally? Cardoso misses. They try the reset timeout. Are they going to be awarded it? Amy Bonner says, hold on. That is not enough time to catch and shoot. This will have to be a tip at the basket for Indiana.
Yes, a tip adjacent to the basket.
So Clark is going to have to lob it in and hope for a miracle. The entire crowd on its feet. Fever trail by 1. They put Cardoso's size on the inbound against Clark. Clark lobs it in. The tip won't happen. That is it. Chicago with a ferocious comeback for their first win of the season against the Fever. 88-87 the final.
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA, ESPN, and the Walt Disney Company, and that was Ryan Rucco and Rebecca Lobo on the call. So, again, I have a lot to say about the last moments of this game. I'll get into that in just a second, but basically what you heard was Aaliyah Boston made a three-pointer. If you watched that game, you noticed that she looked uncomfortable taking that shot, but luckily it went in. And then, well, actuality, before Aaliyah made the three-pointer, Christy Wallace, CaitlinClark got a rebound off of a missed shot from Chicago. Christy Wallace drove to the hold, and a very nasty shot, and as a result of that, Chicago got the rebound. Mabry goes to the free throw line. She wound up missing both of the free throws. Boston gets the three-pointer, looked uncomfortable. Lead was cut to 1. Cardoso, I believe it was what you heard, Nalissa Smith missing the shot. Cardoso missed both free throws, and then they get Indiana got the reset timeout, but 0.2 of a second, it was not enough time for Indiana to do a catch and shoot. But Chicago would win 88-87. Again, I'm going to give you my take on the last moments of this contest. But Angel Reese, what a game for Angel Reese. And here's Angel at the end of the game.
I'm a dog. You can't teach that. I'm going to go out and do whatever it takes to win, and every single night. My teammates rely on my energy. So being able to continue the energy, even if we're down, even if we're up, that's what I do. We have a different kind of relationship. We've been through a lot of the same things. A lot of people have misconceptions about us. We understand each other, and that's why I love her. She can get to me, I can get to her. She a dog, too. She came out and did so much for us tonight. This is a team effort, and I'm just so happy for this team. Hey, it's just good competition. I'm happy. I mean, they still got us. They got one up on us, so I'm just happy for the team, and I want to make it about us. I just want our team. Chicago, they came out tonight, so I'm just happy for us. Hey, she's been there for me. She's been there through me through my highs and my lows. She never doubted me. She knew coming into the league what I was going to be capable of. She said she's proud of me, and I just continue to just being able to talk to her and have somebody like that in my life. So I'm just happy I came over there. And she told me she was coming to the game, so I have to put on the show for you.
All right, again, that audio courtesy of the WNBA, ESPN, and the Walt Disney Company. You heard what Angel said at the beginning, right? She said she a dog, and she was a dog in every sense of the word in this game, finishing with 25 points and 16 rebounds, another double-double. She also talked about her teammates, specifically talking about Kennedy Carter and how her and Kennedy, they've had their struggles and they've had their trials and tribulations since being in the W, but they relied on one another to make things happen. And she mentioned now, she said it wasn't just about her and Caitlin. It was about a victory for Chicago and specifically the ChicagoSky. And Angel, as she said in the beginning, she was a dog, and she was a dog getting a double-double. So, again, several things I want to mention about this game after this audio bite. Here's CaitlinClark, tough loss for the Indiana Fever. Here's Caitlin at the end of the game.
Just seemed like the ball got really stuck. I don't know, we didn't move it side to side like we had for 3 quarters, which we were really good. Yeah, I mean, I just felt like we didn't execute. It just felt like we kind of let them take them. Then they went on a little run. We could never find a way to respond, and you know, that's what happens in basketball runs. So you got to find a way to always respond, and I don't think we executed any sort of set. Yeah, I think we could have tried to stay together and kind of huddle a little bit more. I thought we kind of fell apart a little bit as a team, and the more you can stay together, like especially in an environment like that, like that's what they want to do to you, like the crowd, like they're obviously rooting for them. Like, you can't let that bother you. You got to stay connected as a 5 on the floor, and I thought we could have definitely done a little bit better in that area. I mean, sure, you can wish it. I'm sure there was an opportunity or two for me to probably attempt another shot there at the end, but I trust my teammates. Obviously, it's 13 assists. That means my teammates scored off of 13 of my passes. Like, it's a really great number. So I'm going to give them the ball every time and give them an opportunity to score. I believe in them. And obviously, Kels had a great game. I thought AD was really good. I thought we were really good out of ball screen action for 3 quarters. And then we kind of just struggled to even get to it. And obviously, but it wasn't our offense. Our offense was never the problem. We scored 87 points, and we really didn't execute the entire fourth quarter. We just fouled. We had to stop fouling. Yeah, I thought she ran really well in transition. I think she got a couple and ones in transition. Obviously, she played a really great game. I think they definitely knew to be physical with us. I think they probably watched the Dream film and saw that we fouled them nonstop. And in Atlanta, we were able to get away with that. And then obviously tonight, putting them at the foul line 32 times. We put Atlanta at the foul line 35 times. Like, teams like this, you're not going to get away with that. Like, it's not going to work usually. Like, it was impressive that we won at Atlanta with how much we fouled. And all the times giving up and ones, like Angel had quite a few and ones there in the fourth, but I thought she played a really great game. So I think there is a magic wand. I think there's so many areas where we can still improve across the board for not only basketball, but all women's sports. Yeah. And, I mean, it's cool to see how far we've come in just the last few years. And obviously, I went to the University of Iowa. That was, on the forefront of Title IX and Dr. Grant and everything that she did. So obviously, Coach Bluter always preached that to us and how fortunate we were to be at a university that really supported women's athletics and wanted that to be an opportunity for all of us and treated us the exact same as every other men's sport on campus. And so I was very fortunate in that regard. And but like I said, there is no magic wand. There's so many areas that you can't just focus on one. And, slowly over time, I think we can certainly get there. Yeah, I think just, reading whether they're trapping me early right away and just getting out of my hands. I think that's been the biggest difference. I also think I've been getting trapped less. I think if you look at the stats, I haven't been getting trapped quite as much, but I think I've done a really good job of deciphering exactly what they're doing. And I think just like me and AB's connection has improved a little bit in lifts. Like I think the chemistry and being able to play with one another, you kind of get on the same page with your minds a little bit better. So it's definitely improved. And I think even like when I do hit AB right in the middle, like if they rotate over, AB's done a great job of swinging it to the next side, and we've been able to hit shooters and knock shots down.
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA and the Indiana Fever. I just want to allude to some of the things that she mentioned in the audio. Caitlin was a reporter asked her about the 52nd anniversary of Title IX. Of course, Title IX was the measure in which was passed where women's sports was recognized in NCAA Division I, where it allowed women to participate in sports at NCAA Division I and Division II programs. And she just mentioned about strides being made, but more progress needs to be made in terms of just continuing the advancement and popularity of women's sports. So she mentioned that. Now, some other things that were mentioned in the audio was that she said that chemistry, that was the big word that she mentioned in the audio, chemistry, specifically with her and Aaliyah Boston. They're getting better with the pick and roll, and they're continuing to work on the chemistry, her along with Kelsey Mitchell as well as her other teammates. So that's what Caitlin mentioned, some of those things that I took away from the audio. And she said she gave credit. She said the ChicagoSky, they came ready to play. They were dominant in the paint, got the rebounds and the second chance points, and that's what they did. And now I want to talk about some things that I noticed went wrong in this game. Number one, Christy Sides, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, Christy Sides. Boy, Christy has been under a lot of scrutiny, and rightfully so, for the way she's coached the Indiana Fever. Poor coaching within the last few minutes of that game. The team lost the lead. They let Angel, Camilla, and company get ahead in this game. CaitlinClark has to have the ball in her hands in the final moments of that game. I get it, Caitlin is a rookie and she's still developing chemistry with her teammates and not trying to ruffle any feathers, but CaitlinClark had to have that ball in her hands, especially within the last minute and a half of that game. Aaliyah Boston, and thank God Aaliyah made that three-pointer to cut Chicago's lead to 1 at that time. However, Aaliyah Boston should not be attempting three-pointers. Not in that game and not in future games if Indiana gets in a clutch situation like that. It has to be CaitlinClark. CaitlinClark has got to have the ball in her hands. CaitlinClark, listen, at the University of Iowa, she hit big shots, clutch shots, buzzer beaters. That's one of the things that she brings to the table, and she should have brought table with her in the clutch and closing moments of that game against the Chicago Sky. Why didn't Christy Sides put the ball in CaitlinClark's hands? CaitlinClark got the rebound. I mentioned earlier about Christy Wallace driving to the hole, attempting a layup, missing a very nasty shot. That should have been CaitlinClark right there. That should have been CaitlinClark attempting a three-point instead of Aaliyah Boston. And then you had Melissa Smith attempting a shot, didn't even hit the rim. That should have been CaitlinClark in that situation. Not good. That is just not good at all. And then also, too, Angel and Camilla, they had their way in the paint. When Chicago missed key shots, Angel and Camilla, they went in there, they overpowered Melissa Smith. They overpowered Aaliyah Boston. They overpowered Kelsey Mitchell and Erica Wheeler and anybody that was in the paint. Angel and Camilla, they had their way. Had their way with the rebounding, the offensive rebounding to be exact, and the second chance points. And Christy Sides, man, listen, God bless Christy, God bless her. You know, I don't want anybody to be without a job, but, man, there's a lot of questions behind this. CaitlinClark has got to have the ball in crunch time. She's got to have the ball in clutch moments, and that wasn't a good look at all. And it's got to, I don't know, from here on out, CaitlinClark has got to have the ball in her hands at all times. So, again, we had a treat. First meeting on June the 1st in Indianapolis. The Fever would win 71-70. And in the game on June the 16th, in Indianapolis, the Fever would win 91-83. And then in the game on June the 23rd, the Chicago Sky would go on to beat the Chicago Sky would go on to beat the Indiana Fever 88-87. So the last regular season meeting of the year of the 2024 regular season between the Fever and the Sky will be in Chicago on August the 30th. I got a strong feeling this game could be moved to downtown Chicago and be played at the United Center, home of the Chicago Bulls. I really believe that. I just got a hunch about this. But moving on right now, so again, the final score was the Chicago Sky 88, the Indiana Fever 87. So Angel Reese, another wonderful performance, a double-double with 25 points and 16 rebounds. Camila Cardoso had a double-double with 16 points and 10 rebounds. Kennedy Carter had a great game with 23 points. On the losing end for the Indiana Fever, CaitlinClark, double-double, 17 points, 13 assists. Kelsey Mitchell, 24 points. Aaliyah Boston finished with 18 points. And Melissa Smith finished with 12 points. So again, the final score was Chicago 88 and Indiana 87. So again, tough loss for the Indiana Fever, but again, they'll meet up for the final time during the regular season on August the 30th. So buckle your seatbelts, folks, because I think the first three games were exciting. I think this fourth game is going to be one for the record books. I mean, all of these games have been one for the record books thus far, but man, certainly this is going to be outstanding. I really think the fourth and final game during the regular season is going to be outstanding. All right, so before we give you the current league leaders in the standings, let's give you the Player of the Week award winners. So the Player of the Week award winners for the week of June the 11th. For the Eastern Conference, Brianna Stewart from the New York Liberty. And for the Western Conference, De'Erica Hamby from the Los Angeles Sparks. And for the week of June the 18th, for the Eastern Conference, the Player of the Week award winner, is Aaliyah Boston from the Indiana Fever. And for the Western Conference, Brittany Griner from the Phoenix Mercury. So congratulations to the Player of the Week award winners for the week of June the 11th. For the Eastern Conference, Brianna Stewart from the New York Liberty. And for the Western Conference, De'Erica Hamby from the Los Angeles Sparks. And for the week of June the 18th, for the Eastern Conference, Aaliyah Boston from the Indiana Fever. And from the Western Conference, Brittany Griner from the Phoenix Mercury. So that takes care of our Player of the Week award winners. And also, don't forget, voting has begun for this year's WNBA All-Star Game. So make sure you go to the website and vote for your favorite All-Stars on who you think should be playing in this year's All-Star Game. Right now, Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces is currently the leading vote getter. And right at number 2 is CaitlinClark. Angel Reese is also in the top 10 as well, along with De'Erica Hamby. Also, Nafisa Collier is in the top 10 as well, so make sure you go to the website and vote for your favorite WNBA All-Stars. All right, let's move over now to our league leaders in the W. Let's start off with points per game. The current leading scorer in the W is Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces. She's averaging 27 points per game. Coming in at number 2 is Arike Ogunbowale from the Dallas Wings. Followed in third, Kalia Copper from the Phoenix Mercury. In fourth, Nafisa Collier from the Minnesota Lynx. And in fifth, Brianna Stewart from the New York Liberty. Next category is going to be rebounds per game. At number 1, Asia Wilson. She's averaging 11 rebounds per game. Coming in at number 2 is the rookie from the ChicagoSky, Angel Reese. Coming in third from the Los Angeles Sparks, De'Erica Hamby. In fourth, Nafisa Collier. And in fifth, Alyssa Thomas from the Connecticut Sun. Next category is going to be assists per game. Coming in at number 1, Alyssa Thomas. She's averaging 7 assists per game. At number 2, from the Phoenix Mercury, Natasha Cloud. In third, Sabrina Ionescu from the New York Liberty. In fourth, the rookie CaitlinClark from the Indiana Fever. And in fifth, what a comeback season she's had representing the Seattle Storm, Skylar Diggins-Smith. Next category is going to be steals per game. At number 1, Arike Ogunbowale. At number 2, Nafisa Collier. Tied for third, RhyneHoward from the Atlanta Dream and Brianna Stewart from the New York Liberty. And in fifth, representing the Seattle Storm, I talked about Skylar Diggins having a comeback here. How about Nneka Ogwumike from the Seattle Storm? Nneka definitely having a solid first half of the year representing the Seattle Storm. Next category is going to be blocks per game. At number 1 from the Seattle Storm, Ezi Magbagor. At number 2, Asia Wilson. Coming in third from the Los Angeles Sparks, CameronBrink. In fourth, Elena Smith from the Minnesota Lynx. And in fifth, from the Phoenix Mercury, Natasha Mack. Next category is going to be field goal percentage. At number 1, representing the New York Liberty, Quell Jones. She's shooting 59% from the field. At number 2, Brittany Griner from the Phoenix Mercury. Coming in third, Kalani Brown from the Dallas Wings. In fourth, Brianna Jones from the Connecticut Sun. And in fifth, Nneka Ogwumike. Next category is going to be free throw percentage. Tied for first, shooting 100% from the free throw line, Carly Samuelson from the Washington Mystics and Dana Evans from the ChicagoSky. In third, Cheyenne Parker from the Atlanta Dream. In fourth, Arike Ogunbowale. And in fifth, Ezi Magbagor. Next category is going to be three-point percentage. Coming in at number 1, Stephanie Dolson from the Washington Mystics. She's shooting 46% from three-point range. Tied for second, we have 2 teammates from the Minnesota Lynx. We have Cecilia Zambelasini and Kayla McBride. In fourth, Alicia Clark from the Las Vegas Aces. And in fifth, Elena Smith. And the last category that we have is minutes played. At number 1, representing the Dallas Wings, Arike Ogunbowale. She's averaging close to 39 minutes per game. Coming in at number 2 from the Las Vegas Aces, Kelsey Plum. Coming in third, De'Erica Hamby. In fourth, Nafisa Collier. And in fifth, representing the Seattle Storm, the Gold Mamba, Jewel Lloyd. And that takes care of your current league leaders in the association. All right, so let's move along now to the current standings in the W, and things are starting to get a little interesting as we get kind of towards the bottom half a little bit. So here we go. Currently in first place, the New York Liberty. They have a record of 15-3. Coming in at number 2 are the Connecticut Sun. They have a record of 13-3. Coming in third are the Minnesota Lynx. They have a record of 13-3. Coming in fourth are the Seattle Storm with a record of 10-6. Coming in fifth, defending champion Las Vegas Aces with a record of 8-6. Coming in sixth place are the Phoenix Mercury with a record of 8-8. Followed in seventh by the Atlanta Dream with a record of 6-9. Coming in at eighth place are the Chicago Sky with a record of 6-9. Coming in ninth place are the Indiana Fever with a record of 7-11. Followed by the Los Angeles Sparks with a record of 4-13, and then the Washington Mystics are next with a record of 4-13, and the Dallas Wings are last with a record of 3-13. So those are your current standings in the W. All right, now let's give you the upcoming schedule for the games for the week that will be in the WNBA. Tuesday, June 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time will be the Minnesota Lynx going up against the New York Liberty for the Commissioner's Cup. For those of you that may not be familiar with the Commissioner's Cup is basically the WNBA's version of the in-season tournament. The NBA has their in-season tournament. Well, the WNBA has their version of the in-season tournament with the Commissioner's Cup. And you can watch that game on Amazon Prime Video. And then on Thursday, June 27th, we have the Minnesota Lynx going up against the Dallas Wings. So the coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Time on League Pass. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, we have the Connecticut Sun going up against the Washington Mystics. You can watch that game on NBA TV and League Pass. And also, tip-off will be the same for the Las Vegas Aces going up against the Chicago Sky. You can watch that game on Amazon Prime Video. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, the Indiana Fever, CaitlinClark and company will go up against the rising Seattle Storm. I got to tell you, Noelle Quinn definitely deserves strong consideration for Coach of the Year thus far. What a great job she's done with that roster in the Emerald City of Seattle. And again, you can watch that game on Amazon Prime Video. We'll move along now to action from Friday, June 28th. We've got a good one at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central between the Atlanta Dream and the Connecticut Sun. You can watch that game on ION and League Pass. And then on 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, the Los Angeles Sparks take on the Phoenix Mercury. You can watch that game on ION and League Pass. And then we've got games coming up on Saturday, June the 29th. 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central tip-off between the Las Vegas Aces and the Washington Mystics. You can watch that game on League Pass. And then tip-off at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific between the Dallas Wings and the Seattle Storm. You can watch that game on NBA TV and League Pass. On Sunday, June 30th, we've got the Atlanta Dream going up against the New York Liberty. Tip-off is at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, and you can watch that game on ESPN. And then tip-off at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time, we'll have the Indiana Fever going up against the Phoenix Mercury. That should be an interesting game. CaitlinClark headed out to the desert to take on Brittany Griner, Kalia Coppola, Sophie Cunningham, and, of course, Diana Taurasi. You could watch that game on ESPN. And also, tip-off will be the same time with the Minnesota Lynx going up against the Chicago Sky. You can watch that game on ESPN3 and League Pass. And then we've got, on Monday, July 1st, we've got a doubleheader with the Connecticut Sun going up against the Phoenix Mercury. Tip-off at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific. You can watch that game on League Pass. And also tipping off at the same time will be the Dallas Wings going up against the Seattle Storm. You can watch that game on NBA TV and also on League Pass. And then also coming up on Tuesday, July the 2nd, at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, the Minnesota Lynx go up against the New York Liberty. You can watch that game on League Pass. And then tip-off is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, with the Chicago Sky going up against the Atlanta Dream. You can watch that game on CBS Sports Network and also on League Pass. And then tip-off at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific. On ESPN, the Indiana Fever go up against the Las Vegas Aces. Should be an interesting game. You've got CaitlinClark going up against her old teammate, Kate Martin. We know what happened the last time that they played. Las Vegas was just completely dominant in the first matchup between those two teams. And also, at tip-off will be the same. Tip-off time will be the same as the Washington Mystics will go up against the Los Angeles Sparks. You can watch that game on ESPN3 and League Pass. Wednesday, July the 3rd, tip-off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central between the Phoenix Mercury and the Dallas Wings. You can watch that game on ESPN. And then 4th of July, there's going to be a doubleheader on Thursday, July 4th, America celebrating Independence Day on the 4th of July. We've got tip-off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, with the Connecticut Sun going up against the Minnesota Lynx. You can watch that game on Amazon Prime Video. And also tip-off at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, with the Washington Mystics going up against the Las Vegas Aces. You can watch that game on Amazon Prime Video. Then on Friday, July the 5th, the Atlanta Dream take on the Dallas Wings. Tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. You can watch it on ION and League Pass. p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific on ION and League Pass, with the Las Vegas Aces going up against the Los Angeles Sparks. And also at that same time, the Chicago Sky will go up against the Seattle Storm. You can also watch that game on ION and League Pass. Then on Saturday, July the 6th, tip-off at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, the New York Liberty will go up against the Indiana Fever. You can watch that game on CBS. And then at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time, the Washington Mystics will go up against the Minnesota Lynx. You can watch that game on NBA TV and League Pass. And then Sunday, July the 7th, 4 games on tap for Sunday, July the 7th. Tip-off at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Time. You can watch the game on League Pass with the Atlanta Dream going up against the Connecticut Sun. Then at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time, the Dallas Wings will square up against the Las Vegas Aces. You can watch that game on ESPN. Tip-off at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. The Chicago Sky will square up against the Seattle Storm. You can watch that game on League Pass. And then tip-off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific Time will be the Phoenix Mercury going up against the Los Angeles Sparks. And you can watch that game on League Pass. So the action continuing to get hot and heavy as we march on before the end of the first half of the regular season, as we inch closer and closer to the All-Star Olympic break, inching closer and closer to the All-Star game. Remember, WNBA All-Star voting is underway, so make sure you get those votes in. Vote for your favorite All-Stars to be in that number. That's right. Not just when the Saints go marching in, but most importantly, when the WNBA All-Stars come marching in. It certainly is going to be festive, and it's going to be competitive, and it's going to be intense between now going up into the All-Star game and going into our All-Star and Olympic break. Well, that's going to do it for this edition, another exciting edition of the program. Until next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson saying so long, and you take care. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.